Great. Good afternoon. It's great to be back in the hall again. It seems a very long time since I was here. I'm going to talk about how we can encourage children and young people in and around schools to work in the furniture industry. All schools should be art schools. This is Bob and Roberta Smith's poster campaign for the all-party group to highlight the diminishing role of art and design in English schools. The protest are focusing just on STEM, science, technology, English and maths, that drives current funding and gives the least time to creative subjects. Yes, all schools should be art schools, at least in attitude, to learn how to think rather than what to think. And if our future is based on the creative economy, then it makes more sense to use our spare time making and preparing young people for that. Now, there are two questions in life that will sometimes be easy to answer and sometimes hard. And they are, who are you and what do you do? The question can also be phrased, what do you believe in and what's your purpose? So, a question for you, and you don't need to shout this out. What's been the best day of your life? You'd probably answer that differently depending what company you were in. In a survey, most people said the best days of your life are the day you were born and the day you work out why, your purpose. I work with young people trying to find their way in life. According to Google, those 16 to 20-year-olds are Generation Z. They're born between 1995 and 2010. They care about the environment. They are constantly connected with mobile devices. They multitask. The clothes branding is the same for them as their parents. Gap, White Stuff, Apple. You get the picture. They are employable with guidance, because the world of work is changing and there will be skill shortages, hence today. However, they need to be sharp, because Generation Alpha, those born after 2010, will be much more technology aware and can learn faster. A few years ago, I had the privilege of working with Bill Lucas and Guy Claxton on their educational research, Mind the Gap, sounds familiar, and Bodies of Evidence, on how young people learn in practical and vocational settings. And they highlight in a quote, thousands of young people who are good with their hands and feet, but not so good with equations and writing, have been led to think that their talents and interests are second rate. More importantly, they discovered that to be in practical and vocational areas of work, the employees needed habits and frames of mind, such as investigating, experimenting, reasoning, imagining, curiosity, determination, resourcefulness, sociability, reflection, and wisdom. The formal, in school, and the informal, out of school, processes of learning connects the mind and the body. It is not either or. Okay, who made Lego when they were younger? Okay, show of hands. You made Lego? Okay, keep your hands up. Airfix, Meccano, Minecraft. Some people, fantastic. Lisa, you're really with the times there. Okay. You know, we all started, the skill development starts early, as is highlighted and as Peter said in the report. It all starts early, okay? And it's not what we do for our young people, it's what we do with our young people. And children start thinking what they like to do, what is their purpose at key stage 2. That is what the research says. Now, this is a depressing picture, and I'm sure all of us can remember it well. So Ken Robinson says school is the only place in the world where we sort people out by their manufacturing date. Lucas and Claxton survey data suggests that only 55% of young people describe their education as interesting. We seem to have a policy that states if we test school children, they will be better. And the number of A-level students taking design and technology courses continues to decline, with a year-on-year decrease of 3%. And this comes despite the design sector itself undergoing a significant growth, with employment rising at twice the rate of the UK economy, according to the government figures. In addition to the decline with A-level students, interest at GCSE level has also seen a downward trend, with an estimated drop of 50,000 in applicants for such courses. Industry is crying out for skilled designers, and foreign companies are cherry-picking the finest designers at will, suggests John Mathers, Chief Exec of the Design Council. So what is going on? Why is this gap being created? Well, everyone is protecting their own space. When a college goes into school, they won't have pick of A or B star students. Some of the Generation Z students do not know what is out there, and they don't feel valued. When I ask students how do they get involved in furniture, it seems that those who went into industry and had work experience got a taste of it, a chance to use their hands and to think differently. Parents, if they're practical, will teach their children how to use tools and to make and design. And it works in the opposite way as well. Wayne Hemingway, in a recent article, said, "Stop just investing in the academic and give vocational trades the same status, just as in other countries." He calls it academic snobbery. So these are some of the current initiatives that are happening. I call them nibblers. Okay, the nibblers. We're doing really well, a little bits and pieces, but as in the report, needs to come together. So let's start thinking creatively. Okay, some of you would have come across homospatial thinking. Okay, it's Albert Rothenberg's study of creativity in humans. The name of creativity, where the new element in a really big idea comes in the form of a disruption. Okay, the biggest example is probably Van Gogh cutting off his ear and then becoming famous with his artwork. This picture, Cézanne, has two perspectives, okay, which implies of the opposites. So you have the vertical of the tree, of that trunk, and you have the horizontal of the aqueduct in the picture. Okay, so that's not what Cézanne saw when he actually painted that picture. It's what he wanted to see, and he looked at it from two different perspectives. So let's stop and think creatively, what can we do? Now, if you've seen the Lego movie, the master builder, Emmett, has to come up with an original idea, and he designs the double-decker sofa. So this was my first idea. Now, I have a plan. Okay, I think that Tony Smart, okay, should actually gather up all the children and take them away to learn furniture. And as much as Tony, I'm sure, would love to do that in the interest of the furniture industry, and it's funny, it's not really great in the way of safeguarding. So, let's improve interaction as a coordinated approach. Okay, so I looked at Friars research, which quite rightly asked for this interaction. You know, I've been researching maker communities in America, in particular Pittsburgh, triggered by a disruptive element of the way the steel closures happen there. There is a gathering of those who see it as their purpose, called the Maker Education Initiative, committed to creating more opportunities for all young people to develop confidence, creativity, and interest in science, technology, engineering, maths, and art, and learning as a whole through making. Okay, they don't call it STEM, they call it STEAM. Okay, because they've got A in there for that creativity. There's two projects. There's the Maker Vista project, which works in high poverty areas. Volunteers are there for a year, so there's sustainable impact, and each region has its own goal. We saw the different regions earlier up on the screen. They have an outreach volunteer database and development outreach volunteer as well. Okay, so they're actually working more with the youth work, and what they're doing, they're pulling people together to make things. And they're running programs targeted at 16, 12 years, key stage 2. There's something that runs called Assembly. Okay, it's a small shopfront space in the main street that doubles as an art gallery. And some programmes are drop-ins, such as assembly afternoons or Saturday crafternoons. And they do outreach programmes at local schools. There's another, Maker Corps, which is Maker Hubs, where they gather the youth and families together to engage with old and new technologies. Again, developing creativity, creating thinking, creating ways where people can actually learn how things go together, how to fix, how to mend, how to problem solve, how to problem find. And they work with teachers at local schools as well. Pull them together, give them training. Interestingly, one of the areas, Makerspace, as it's called, students can explore different types of projects in areas such as design, sewing, woodworking, electronics and robotics. So something there that we've seen on the survey today. There's also the Creative Industries Network. When you start looking at these, it's a bit like our furniture industry. There are so many different bits and bobs and pieces, you have to kind of work out just what it is you're looking at. So the Creative Industries Network, which, see that as the furniture makers, serves as a collaborative hub that ignites creativity and innovation and enhances interconnectivity, a bit like today. And their job is pulling people together. And the thing is that they found in Pittsburgh is that it actually works. Thousands of young people are going in informal learning, and they're getting triggered, and things are working together. Now, in the UK, there's also something that happens. There's Lego clubs, So all those of you who put your hands up earlier, you might be interested in a Lego club. And what happens there in a Lego club is that you would have an instruction, and you would either be the builder, or you'd be the architect, or you'd be the supply chain manager. And it's used a lot in children's work, where you want to get young children to express themselves socially where they may struggle. Where they may have some learning difficulty or something like that, that will help connect. And I think that's an important issue for us because, unfortunately, mental health is on the rise in this country. Something I took part in last year was the National Saturday Art and Design Club, and that's run by the Sorrel Foundation, and they exhibit at Somerset House in July. Brilliant to see all these primary school kids out and about, really engaged in what they can do. It's really, really good. So this is a drawing from How to Do It at Pittsburgh. And what do you need? You need a well-defined programme, a steering group with local support and infrastructure. You need to understand what the barriers are to access and the community needs. You need to have a consistent language and a communication message that is the same across, that networks across. You need to know the funding landscape, mentorship schemes. Introduce have a go of using tools and materials to build confidence in making, and have a connection with qualified volunteers. Now, what I love about this is that it shows great promise to improve people's lives by providing experiences that lead to creativity and safe self-awareness. So I believe we can, as a collective, create a national vision with regional spokes. A national coordinated approach with young people, families, schools, colleges, universities, industry, and communities. But I keep going back to the question, outside of school, where do kids go and make? And be curious. So I'm in Hobbycraft and I'm buying paint for my Red Arrows Airfix kit. A couple of weeks ago. It's a long story. And I just happened to be with a mum and her son next to me. And they turn to me with a Airfix kit and they say, "Are you an expert?" So I quickly deny that I was. And I thought, well, here's my chance. There's a lad there and he must be 9. Do you like making things? Yes, I do like making things. Have you thought about furniture making? At which point I get this kind of blank look from both of them. But go and look up about furniture making, So we need to be a bit more visible. I'm also designing something with the Scouts that can give us structure to work with practical children and young people. Now that could be a furniture designer, a maker badge, a sewing badge, But I think there's lots of things we can explore. And I've got a headway there because I'm fortunate enough that my brother there runs the Scouts for the UK. But they want to talk to us. What can we do? Because this is the thing. If the school market, which is tough, and Nick will explain when he comes up here, that isn't the only market for us. We have to go wider. And if we go wider and we go more informal, and we go with people who actually like making things or practical or are introduced to team building and leadership and motivation and problem solving, there's a market there. And I just picked Scouts, but as Caroline mentioned earlier, you could also go D.A.V. Now they need volunteers, so maybe actually some of us should actually volunteer for those organisations as well. How do we actually get in, okay? How do we actually sort of move ourselves around? So, final slide. We need to create a culture of collaboration, not competition. Together, our purpose is to encourage children and young people in and around schools to work in the furniture industry so that we are positively up to something together. So, my final question to us all: what part of the wall is your purpose, and how can you help us rebuild it? Thank you very much.